Alright, Delta Force is one of my most played free-to-play shooters ever since the game came out during late 2024, but honestly I haven't really go back and check out the game in a pretty long time. So today in this video we're gonna jump back in after a pretty long break, especially with this new Season 9 launch which happened a couple of days ago. So I thought now is the perfect time to jump back and see what it's all about, check out some of the new stuff that they add to the game, and talk about how the game feels right now in 2026. Delta Force is no doubt still one of the most popular free-to-play games on the market, especially on the PC side, and this is probably the closest thing that you'll ever gonna get to a free-to-play Battlefield-style experience. But at the same time, there are some major issues that are way more noticeable now in 2026 than they ever before. Starting with the new season, this is Season 9 called Echo, and it does bring some decent amount of fresh content to the game. We got a new map, new weapons, and usual seasonal stuff like battle passes, cosmetic, and I'll be real with you, this new map is actually one of the highlights. It's pretty big, pretty fun to play, and clearly they took a lot of inspiration from Battlefield 2042, which can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But overall, the map feels pretty solid. You got large open areas mixed with some tight objective zones, but it's much more focused toward the close range infantry combat, which I'm a big fan of. That being said, some of the maps that they released during the last year or so do suffer from having way too many choke points, which can turn matches into complete chaos in a wrong way. But kudos to the developers, they continuously updating the game, adding new stuff, new seasons throughout the last year. I haven't properly jumped back into the game after Season 1, so there are so many stuff that I missed, but it felt really good to jump back into the game. But I'm personally enjoying the variety of maps, the locations, the dynamics. Some of the maps got crazy destruction, weather effects, environmental hazards, so much stuff going on, which is pretty interesting to say the least. When it comes to gunplay, I was always a big fan of Delta Force gunplay. The core gameplay still feels very solid, the shooting feels smooth, the movement is responsive, and overall it is very satisfying to play. But I felt like the weapon meta is still dominated by a few overpowered weapons. A lot of the experienced players who played this game every single day, they got the full maxed out weapons, loadouts. So if you're not running those, you are in a serious disadvantage. If you're jumping in like me after a long time, like just casually with basic weapons and mid-level builds, you are not just competing with experienced players who have fully upgraded, perfectly optimized loadouts. And it creates a pretty big gap between casual players and experienced players who have everything unlocked, and especially if you're jumping in as a beginner, you will feel that difference almost immediately. Alright, talking about vehicles gameplay, I still feel like it is a bit overpowered. The tanks, helicopters, all of it, they still feel way too strong, especially in the warfare mode. If your team doesn't deal with them quickly, they can completely dominate the entire match, especially tanks. I remember this has been an issue since Season 1. Well, there have been some tweaks over the years, but still doesn't feel properly balanced in my opinion. Speaking of game modes, the warfare still the main attraction here, but I know some people absolutely love the operation mode. There are die-hard fans, but I am personally mainly focusing on the warfare mode here, and this is where the game feels most alive, with large-scale battles, explosions everywhere, and that classic Battlefield-style chaos. But this is also where you will notice some of the biggest problems in the game, especially when it comes to balances and unfortunately cheaters. And cheaters being a big talking point with Delta Force during the last year or so. I have seen tons of Steam reviews mentioning the cheater issue, and yes, in sometimes some games you will run into some questionable players here and there. Sometimes it felt like I don't even have a split second to react, you will die instantly. It's not in every single match, but it happened often enough to be frustrating. I personally don't know these are 100% cheaters or very experienced players in the game, but if you're someone who played Delta Force regularly, I would love to know your thoughts down in the comment section. And as for the operation mode, the extraction mode, I honestly didn't spend tons of time playing this, but from what I've seen, it's in a decent state. It's definitely a lot slower, more tactical compared to the warfare mode. So if you enjoy extraction shooters, there is something here for you. But again, the cheater issue does show up here as well, and that really hurts the whole gameplay experience, since this mode is all about risk and reward. Now, the one thing that really stood out to me coming back into the game is the monetization and the user interface. The monetization itself isn't pay to win, which is great for a free-to-play game, but there are just way too much going on. You got battle passes, seasonal events, limited time events, login rewards, skin shop, mandel bricks. There are just so many systems stacked on top of each other, and the worst part is how it all presented to you. Especially if you're jumping in for the very first time, you're gonna get bombarded with all of these pop-ups. So every time you log in, you hit with the pop-ups, notifications, menus, rewards, and it gets overwhelming super fast. I know it's a free-to-play title, they need to find a way to monetize the game, but I feel like it's just kind of break the immersion, especially some of the operators, some of the skins that they add to the game during the last year or so, which are a bit over the top, bit like anime, sci-fi style skins, which don't really fit the military vibe of the game in my opinion, which is a bit disappointing to see. There is also seasonal ranks, the rank mode, and honestly this one is pretty disappointing. Even though the game shows very strong player count on Steam charts, the matches are mostly filled with bots, especially during the daytime where not a lot of people playing on the servers, and it genuinely feels like whichever team ended up with fewer bots, the one that wins. Even on the rank mode, the bots are there, so it completely defeats the purpose of even having a rank system like this. Maybe they are not serious about it, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. So finally, after jumping back into Delta Force in 2026 with this newly released Season 9, I'd say the game's still pretty good at its core. The maps are fun, the gameplay feels solid, and it does deliver on that large-scale Battlefield-style experience for completely free. But at the same time, you have to deal with a lot of the things that can hold it back, like the weapon meta, the unbalanced vehicles, the cheaters, the monetization, and some questionable design choices. But at the end of the day, if you can look past all that, Delta Force still one of the better free-to-play options out there on the market, alongside games like Arena Breakout and Finals. But it's also one of those games where potential is huge and you can clearly see what it could be, but it's just not fully there yet. Anyway guys, that is my personal experience with Delta Force in 2026 after jumping back into the game with this new season. Let me know if you guys still playing the game or you guys move on to play other games. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more free-to-play game coverage like this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Allied troops launching an assault on objective Delta. Enemy forces control the majority of sectors.
Thank you!
Objective Bravo is under attack.